All right, it's finally over. Bills bye week now in the rearview mirror. Back to work with a big game coming up on Sunday night. Welcome to Buffalo End Zone Podcast, everyone. Kevin Carroll with you as usual. Stevie Johnson joining me once again. Stevie, good to have the bye week. Going to be good to have Bills football back. But it was nice to sit around and just watch Red Zone on Sunday and just eat pizza and fill up and just not be working.
You took full advantage of that bye week, brother, and it was well worth it. Seeing what our Buffalo Bills have been doing this season, and then a bye week coming around this time was everything that they needed. We seen our Buffalo Bills go to the high, go to the lows, have close games, beat teams that people seen as unbeatable. They've had everything in this season so far, and then to finish off that first half, meaning before bye week, with a big victory over a team like Kansas City Chiefs, yeah, it's all worth taking advantage of kicking back, eating some pizza, and enjoying the family.
Yeah, absolutely. As a former player or as a player, we'll put the injuries and getting healthy aside for what I'm about to ask, but I mean, this just seems to come at the right time for the Bills, kind of around the same time as last season when they were in position to have to win games to get into the playoffs. This year, they're kind of in control of things. In fact, they can clinch the AFC East if things go right here in Week 11. But as a former player, better early to get your bye week in or around this time right before it gets late in the season?
Man, great question, Kev, because when you dive into the mind of these athletes, it's nonstop. You think the season started when week one happened, but no, it actually started before draft training camp and pre-draft things. It's so long. So some teams, they benefit off of having an early bye week. Those are the teams with the younger guys, the younger quarterbacks, I would say, to give them a little break. But a team that's I would just say proven. The Buffalo Bills are proven, and they have players in each room that's been in the league for a few years, so they understand how to manage their body throughout a season. So when you have a later bye week, it's so much more advantage. It's a big advantage for guys that's veterans and proven in the league, because it's kind of like a reset. Every team has injuries, but when you have a late bye week, you can kind of you assess your team and you know what you need in a sense. How far somebody can go with that particular injury or not at this point of the season, being week 12, week 13. So I feel like the Buffalo Bills got a good draw having a late bye week, in my opinion.
I think it's great 2 years in a row, Stevie. And as you get up there in age, time becomes a little different. I still view this Bills team as a young team. I still see Josh Allen as just a few years into his career. But when the brain figures out how long he's been around, you look at the battles he's had already against good teams. The fact that he plays so well during these primetime games with all eyes on him puts this Bills team in a special place year after year. We're here right now with the Bills actually one of those teams that are getting healthy when it comes to injuries going into this final push to the postseason.
Yeah, Kev, like that's the special thing about this Buffalo Bills team is they're young, but they have a great mix of veteran leadership and guys that's been war ready, I would say, battle tested. So I give credit to the management on that part of meshing this team together. I believe it was last year, we brought in a somewhat seasoned veteran in Rasul Douglas, and he just got more and more comfortable. And you see an even better Rasul than we seen from his previous team. So that's hats off to the management for bringing those type of guys in. The draft picks, they got guys that's proven and ready, that was leaders on their college team. So, I feel like that goes to credit the general managers and the business suits in the building. They did a real great job at putting this team together. How you feel about that?
No, I agree with it. I mean, I was one of those guys, Stevie, that had a lot of questions with the wide receiver group during training camp and as we approached the regular season, and still questioned it as the season got underway. But it's great to see it all taking shape right now with where they are in the season. We're about to hit December. The team is 9-2. Like I said, they could lock up the AFC East with a win on Sunday, and the Packers beat the Dolphins on Thanksgiving. That's it. The Bills are AFC champs once again. And you look at possibly getting Keon Coleman back now into the lineup. Dalton Kincaid may be back in the lineup. But, Stevie, my big thing is while I was poo-pooing on the wide receiver group earlier in my comment, Amari Cooper comes in and does something to this offense that just triggers everything else. That was such a great move by the Bills. Khalil Shakir opens up for him. Mac Hollins and Curtis Samuel, I had been critical of early in the season. I'm not anymore. I think those guys have shown why they're here. They have their role to play. And this everyone eats mentality with this Bills offense is showing itself even shorthanded against the reigning Super Bowl champs. They showed what they can do.
Yeah, they definitely did. And I feel like if you visualize the wide receiver room, that's kind of like a retrospect of the entire team. You know, that's like you said, it's a great mix of young guys that's proven and that can handle their own. Like we talk about Khalil Shakir. He's a young player. This is his first year ever being in the spotlight as the guy in the room without another alpha male in a wide receiver room. But you see the confidence and the calmness that he has during these big situations. That's because they've been battle tested and they're war ready. So we see a great mix of young guys that's you can call veterans, even though this is their first year actually playing a full season in that role of being the main guy. You talk about Mac Hollins. It's just the dynamics of him. You know, it wasn't the fact that he's not getting 100+ yards every game, but he is so technical and vital to this team because route structure. You know, this offense, they build off of each other, you know, like passing off, running stick routes. You got to be disciplined. And if you don't have discipline in your route IQ, then the offense is going to not look balanced. And that's what we've seen with Mac and then bringing in Amari Cooper, bringing that balance to an offense instead of, you know, that young energy, which we've seen a little bit earlier with Keon, where he was running routes, his under route a little bit too fast. You got to be able to pace yourself so that your teammate can get you open. You can come underneath. And they learned that as they've been going. So I'm really proud to see how this team has been progressing. And that's only the receiver room, but we can talk about that with each other room as far as defensive line. You know, they've just been growing. So I'm just proud of this team overall, you know, when I look at it top to bottom.
Yeah, we'll move on. I just want to touch on Shakir just a bit. I know I've done it before, but where he was in this Bills offense to almost being – he was a bubble player a few years ago during training camp. It's who's going to make the team, him or a couple of other players. Glad they kept him and he stuck around. But my concern was how is he going to handle this new role? And, you know, he dealt with injury early. But I think him with Amari Cooper showing up and just giving that other thing, I think that just freed up so much for Shakir. And he still lives up to the moment every time. It is hard to believe that people were questioning this kid when he first came into the league. But, I mean, you see him at practice. We talk to him after practice every week. He's got his head on straight, and he doesn't make a big deal about what he's doing out there. It's really cool to sit there and talk to him about his role on the team.
Yeah, and I love it because I give credit to where it's due, you know, and he came in with a guy like Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis, who were the guys. They were the show. So when Khalil came in, you know, it was a little more space. It was easier to make plays. However, the situations were still big. But he was able to get those situations out with those two guys around. So now when those two guys are gone, these situations aren't new for him because, you know, like we said, the success of the team being in big games and big situations and him being successful in those situations, it just prepared him for now. And we see every time we get it to him, he's one of those guys that's getting positive yards for us or making a big play somehow, a big cross the middle catch. And it's just beautiful to see the teamwork in this entire team.
Criticized a couple of years ago about not being trusted because he might drop the ball to being the best guy in the NFL, the most reliable guy. I always go back to a preseason game where he dropped a really easy pass. And back then, before you knew the kind of player he was, it was suggested that's the up and down with Khalil Shakir. He's going to drop a ball every now and then. Now, it takes a miracle for him to drop a ball now.
Yeah, you don't even think that is possible. That don't even sound right with Khalil Shakir's
Right.
name and then having a drop pass in there. You know, I mean, it's similar. You know, I give credit because I look around the league and there's a kid, Amon-Ra St. Brown. What him and Jared Goff is doing is what I feel the same as Khalil and Josh Allen. That connection, you can't overlook a QB receiver connection. And this one is even more special with the Buffalo Bills because this connection was established while they had a number one and a number two option. You know, Khalil took advantage of you know, his time, his opportunities, and he got himself better, you know, because to be honest, you know more than I do about Khalil. I didn't know he had that stigma around him. But it's good to hear that he worked hard in the offseason and got right.
But, Stevie, it wasn't necessarily a local thing. I mean, we all know if we cover the team on a daily basis, it's this national image of just clips that they're shown. They're not there all the time. It was just more of a you see a mistake made in a preseason game, and the national people are like, that's the problem, and other people who are there every day are like, well, that's not really what we're seeing, but it is what it is. Stevie, Keon Coleman, Dalton Kincaid, Spencer Brown, all possible to return in this game. The Bills did pretty well without them. So to me, if one of them or a couple of them aren't able to go, it's not that critical against a team from the NFC to me. But you have in the 49ers a team defensively, numbers-wise, very close to what the Chiefs put out there. They're decent at stopping the run and good at stopping the pass. I think, what are they, like top 5 against the pass?
Yeah, they're athletes. They got athletes out there. But I just feel like the 49ers, they concerned me the way they came out against their divisional rival in the Seattle Seahawks, playing at home. You know, this is a game that you need with a team that's on the verge of going either out of the playoff picture or championship picture to stand in that picture. And what they showed me was, you know, a lack of confidence, a lack of energy. And, you know, with that being said, I don't think that they're a challenge for the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills should take it to these guys and dominate after seeing what they put out against the Seattle Seahawks team that the Buffalo Bills obliterated in Seattle. So it's all on the Buffalo Bills to handle their business and get to that matchup against the Detroit Lions, and that's what I'm really looking forward to.
Might be some snow on Sunday, but we'll get to that in a little bit.
Even better. Them boys from San Francisco, we don't like that snow.
Right. So, and it might be that bad Stevie Lake effect snow that you don't have to deal with anymore.
Different.
But I bring that up because if that's the case, maybe we're looking at a game where you lean on the run game, and the Bills a very hard time against the Chiefs at moving the ball on the ground. And defensively speaking, they're looking at a 49ers team that might pose the same problem.
Yeah. But I really love that you even brought that up, man. You hitting on some good points. Because when you hit a bye week, you can run into a lull, you know, where it's like, you're kind of comfortable, especially after a big win. You can come into the next week and be like, I'm on cruise control. I'll just do what we did last week. But there is time that you got to re-spark your battery. And with it being a snow game, I think that's going to play to our advantage because you know how it goes in the playoffs and late in the season. You got to have a dominant run game. And if you got a dominant run game, you can control the clock. So if this is a snow game, I'm looking forward to the running game to take off and getting James Cook, and Ray Davis, and Ty Johnson back involved and back comfortable running the ball and getting those hits so that we can go further in the season.
I mean, who didn't love watching the Steelers and Browns, right? As the snow started to pile up on that, it just got more and more interesting to watch.
Oh, absolutely. And then you hear Jameis Winston in his pregame speech.
Yeah.
Like it just made me feel like I didn't take advantage even more when it was snow and cold. He was just so joyful and happy. Like that's what everyone should look at, no matter if you're in Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Buffalo. It just gives another energy, man. It was fun. I loved it. I loved that game.
Primetime game with that. We'll see what happens. It's too far out to actually know for
Right.
sure. But Matt Milano slowly working his way back. Do you think we see Matt Milano coming up in this game, or do you think maybe it's not worth it to get him back? Like, I'm not a former player. I know the Bills seem to have this reputation of we're not bringing someone back until they're ready to go. We're not forcing anyone back.
Yeah, and I'm with that all the way. I don't want to force Milano back. We know what he brings. We know what he has to offer. So there's nothing that we need to really test out with Milano. I would just wait until it's time. Even if they did play him, maybe a couple snaps just so that he can get that vibe, that speed, hearing the crowd, hearing everything for that first time. So when it do come in with full action, he won't be kind of affected, which I don't think he will be. But I'm just after a long layoff like that, some things can be a little bit delayed, and that may be the only reason why I would see him getting a couple snaps, but nothing too strenuous.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. The 49ers are the ones with the real concern. Brock Purdy with an injured shoulder. He's up in the air. We're recording this on a Tuesday. I'm sure by Wednesday, Thursday, we might have a little more information there. On the offensive line, Trent Williams, Brandon Ayuk, the wide receiver, and Nick Bosa on defense. That's the big question mark for the 49ers. If any of those guys are out, it just gives the Bills that bigger advantage in this game.
Right, and as a competitor, I don't like to see teams at their worst are struggling. I want to beat a team fair and square at their full strength. But this is how the NFL is. Every team is dealing with something, and it's one of those any given Sunday things. And I'm just hoping that the San Francisco 49ers don't come out on this upcoming Sunday and just be super charged up. Although those are my guys, I just feel like the Buffalo Bills are on a whole nother mission right now, and where they're going with their trajectory is to the moon. Sky's the limit. Like we said, we're bringing up names like Spencer Brown, Keon Coleman, Amari Cooper being fully healthy. This is only Matt Milano, Terrell Bernard. We've seen what he did when he came back. He completely shut down one of the top tight ends in the league, holding him to 2 catches and getting an interception on Travis Kelce. So we see what this team can be at full strength, or we know what they can be at full strength. And now we're going to see it in a few weeks when Milano come back and the team come back at full strength.
Stevie, I was going through BetMGM. We'll do the over-under and all that stuff in a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
But the guy who wrote the article said that the Bills are really weak at defending the middle of the field. So if Brock Purdy is back, there's a way for them to beat the Bills by taking advantage of the middle of the field. Now, again, a lot of factors are going to play into this, but do you agree with that?
I wouldn't necessarily say they're weak, because I feel like the Buffalo Bills defense is one of those bend but don't breaks. It's similar to the Kansas City Chiefs. You can't be great in every aspect. So that's where I guess they would say that's probably the weakest of the team, if you want to use that word for lack of a better term. But I just feel like they're doing their job. They're not being overly aggressive. You don't see too many penalties, in free yards as far as, on the play, ball being in the air. But they're one of those bend but don't breaks. They'll let you get a little bit until it's time to close that field in the red zone, and they play ball. So accurate. I don't know how accurate. It's just different word terminology, maybe. I can agree with that.
I'll say this much. Despite the fact that I used numbers earlier to prove a point, I'm not a numbers guy. I'm a what you see with your eyes kind of guy. And I think when you look at the numbers in certain games, you might sit there and say, oh, okay, well, that's the weakness. But when I watch the Bills play, I don't see what matches up with those numbers. I do see, a couple of pass plays down the middle of the field that teams get yardage, but then the coverage starts to lock in and you're forcing field goals instead of touchdowns. And again, if you're a guy writing a national article, you could say, well, I looked at the numbers. I see this. Razul Douglas,
Right.
Christian Benford. You mentioned Terrell Bernard.
Yeah.
Um,
Elite guys, Taylor Rapp being a
Taylor Rapp
technician back
being in
there,
there.
They're not necessarily making highlight one hand catches or interceptions. Damar Hamlin, even Damar being a stud for tackles and securing the tackles now. I think he had 9 the past
Yeah.
game. So yeah, like they're playing as a complete team. Like we said, bend but don't break. Like you called it out. The teams get down to that red zone and it's not touchdowns. It's not 7 points. It's usually field goals. And that's why we're still getting these victories at the end, because we're limiting these teams to their points.
Got to shout out Dorian Williams, too. I left him out of there because I was going to say the guy from Tulane because I blanked on his name. But we got it.
Yeah.
We got
Big
it
shout
right.
out to Dorian. He stepped in. Hey, since the beginning, we was calling that since the beginning. Dorian's going to have his opportunity, and he did nothing but shine in this opportunity. So, again, we're looking forward to big things from this defense with Milano coming back, Bernard coming back. What about Von Miller, Kev? Like Von
My
Miller's
God,
back. He's looking
right.
comfortable. Yeah, it's not the Von Miller that's trying to get to where he was. This
Right.
is the Von Miller that's ready to go make plays on that 3rd or 4th and goal type or 4th and down situation. So I'm loving it.
That says so much that I would blank on Von Miller when talking about the Bills defense and how good they're
The
playing.
depth is crazy.
I mean, this to me, it's all going to come down to what the 49ers are going to look like there. I don't think they stand a chance if Purdy can't go. Even if he goes, maybe there's a slight chance, but this just seems like, and I believe Sean McDermott and company are pretty good coming off the bye week. I don't have it in front of me, but I almost want to say they're near perfect coming off the bye week. Don't have it in front of me here.
You can tell how they managing the team, how they put together the team, and how they're taking care of players like Amari Cooper. I remember the week where we was talking about the wrist injury, and I gave a whole story how I still play with the wrist. You got to obviously make up for it in certain ways, but I mean they were smart about it. We're not gonna force you to go out there and hurt you for long term. We're gonna take care of you, and that's what they did. And the boys still handle business. So that's just showing that the management is in tune with the team, and they're not just making moves and not communicating or got that faith and trust from the players. That's some special synergy out there in Buffalo and Orchard Park.
Mari Cooper cast on his left hand because of that wrist, yet makes a one-handed catch with the left hand.
hey, that's kind of like with Milano. I was just thinking about it. Maybe he'll get a couple of plays, just how Amari got a couple plays with the cast. I wouldn't expect. Well, I guess he's a missile, man. You can't put him out there and say, hey, don't go too hard,
right.
So maybe they might just sit him back just for that part, because we already know what Milano has to offer. Let's just get him 100% and let him get ready for the playoffs or last couple games.
And if there's snow on the field, hell no with Matt Milano out there. Just keep him there. We'll get to the game day now. So right now it's going to be very cold. That much we know. Whether it snows or not, we'll see. From living out here, that lake effect snow is pretty darn unpredictable on what exactly it's going to do. And I'm not the meteorologist here, but the Bills -7 in this game. I mean, I'll cut to the chase. I have them winning by 7. So
-7. Yeah, I'm gonna go over. I'm gonna go over with this. The Bills gonna be rested. The Niners are at a point where I don't even know if they believe in themselves. There's something internally going on out there. And I just feel like the Buffalo Bills are on a whole nother mission than the 49ers right now. And they're going to separate themselves. The only thing that the 49ers had, those are my guys. The only thing that they had was the hope of CMC coming back. And then you got Jordan Mason, the stud running back, doing his thing. But now you got Jordan Mason's got some injuries. CMC came back and, last week when he had like 30 yards, it's not as much of an effect. So, yeah, I just think that the Buffalo Bills will go beat the San Francisco 49ers by more than 7. So I'm going to take the over on that.
Okay, and then as far as total points go, 45.5. I'm still leaning on the weather, and I'm going to take the under that they're not going to get up to 45.5 points.
Yeah, I'm for you on that. We saw this last primetime game, and it was tough to get to 50, and seeing that it may be snow, cold, not that the ball going in the air, the clock running with the running game going. I feel like I'm going with the under also. You looking right. I'm going to ride with you on this one, Kev.
Yeah, and then, of course, one of the coldest games I remember of the Josh Allen era was a playoff game against the Patriots where I thought it was going to be low scoring and Josh Allen was perfect and they blew the Patriots out of the water. So you never know with a guy like Josh Allen there, it's totally unpredictable, but my final score 24-17, Bills get the win.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I feel like the Buffalo Bills will have around 27 and the Niners may only get 10 points. I don't see them scoring over 14. I want to see how. I want to see how they do it, but I don't see them scoring over 14 points against the Buffalo Bills. To your point with the Bills going crazy against the Patriots, well, that's because it's the Patriots. You kind of want to do a little extra to the division games, to the division teams. So I'll take that into account for that one.
Keep on piling the points. So as a player who played for the Bills, for the 49ers, and also the Chargers, so what was worse for you, going from east to west or going from west to east? And I'm just going to assume the colder climate is worse than the warmer climate, but west to east or east to west?
I felt like going from east to west was great because when you get to the West Coast, you still got 3 more hours, and then it's like, dang, I got so much more time. When you go from west to east, it's like I feel like I lost a day, and I don't even take the cold into account. Me being drafted by the Bills, I kind of just got used to it, and that didn't bother me. But I did love the fact that it was pretty cool that the time change, that was pretty cool for me.
All right, let's do a little 3 and out. The Jake Paul Mike Tyson fight on Netflix. A, did you watch it? B, there should be concern for the NFL if they're going to start putting games on Netflix with what the disaster was. What was that? A couple of Saturday nights or Friday nights ago?
Yeah, that's technology is evolution everywhere, with Netflix, with all of these companies, I would just say. And I like the fact that everybody's evolving, businesses, people, all of that. That's cool. Even seeing Jake Paul and Tyson in a ring, I thought it was pretty cool. I love the fact that that Jake Paul didn't go. I feel like Jake Paul took it easy on Tyson. Yeah, he probably could have punished him with Tyson being 58 years old. Some people see it the other way. But when you talk about Mike Tyson, I felt like he just raised the bar for all of us. Me, in my time, I would say, because I'm 38 now. So in 20 years, I should be training against a 7-year-old right now. That's basically what Mike Tyson did. He went up against at 38. Jake Paul was 7 years old, and he's 58 now. Jake Paul 27. He got in the ring with him. So much props to that, and I just think that's motivation for us all, just to keep on going and keep handling business and having fun.
Stevie, I play hockey every Saturday morning. I'm 51. There are guys who bring their kids on holiday skates. So I've played against a 10 or 12-year-old fearless kid playing hockey, and it's nothing to mess with. I mean, as you get older, these kids, they don't care. I'm 51. I'm just there to get the skate in and play a little sports still. So that is such a good point that what you're making right now about going up against a 7-year-old. I mean, like I said, 10, 12-year-old, some of these kids getting ready for high school hockey is just a disaster. With that,
props to you, kid.
With that, we'll talk Thanksgiving. What do you do an activity Thanksgiving morning? Like, I'll play hockey just to get that exercise in, or I'll do the turkey trot, 5K, 10K, or when I was in high school growing up in Massachusetts, your rivalry football game was at 10 o'clock every Thanksgiving. So your biggest game of the year was, you woke up and you played a game of football, and then you went and had turkey dinner, and if you won, you were the hero at the family dinner. If you lost, it was all too bad. But so I've always been active Thanksgiving morning and then eat like a pig. Do you do anything like the old turkey bowl, a little flag football or anything?
Yeah, actually we do. We started with playing football, but then it wasn't fun because all of the girls and the aunties couldn't get involved. So what we ended up doing was turning it into a volleyball matchup, family volleyball.
Nice.
So, oh my goodness, it just got so intense. We missed the football game, the Turkey Thanksgiving Day football games, because we're still out there battling about calls and hey man, it was in, the ball was out, like that was 3 hits. You threw it over the net, you're supposed to throw it under. It's so much fun. But our thing is family volleyball, so we do that, and then we feast up at the end and have what's it called, where you singing on the mic, like
karaoke.
Yeah, karaoke all night.
Dude, that sounds like a blast. Karaoke on Thanksgiving, a little fall. Of course, in Buffalo, you're not thinking about volleyball this time of year. It's different out in California. Your favorite Thanksgiving side dish, Stevie? My mom makes an oyster stuffing just for me because everyone else doesn't like the oysters in it. I do, so she makes it special for me every year, so I'm looking forward to that.
Nice. I like that. We may have to try that. We go with the dressing, and I'm not gonna lie. I'm looking forward to setting my fork and spoon up with everything. A little bit of the yam, some rice and beans, some turkey, some chicken, some fried. You know, I want it all.
Yeah.
So on my Mount Rushmore Thanksgiving, I got a spoon with layers of different foods on it. And that's how we rock it over here.
With gravy just dripping off the whole thing.
Yes. I need it.
Stevie, talk to me about your backdrop there. We were talking about what that meant and what that means to you before we head out.
Yeah. For those that don't know, like my brand and our mentorship is Club HBHF, which stands for Handle Business, Have Fun. And what we do is we set out scholarships. We set out a set number of 5, but we also give things, you know, as we do our community activations. And we look out for student athletes and those in need and around the community with books, notebooks, iPads, MacBooks, backpacks, money, anything, you know. So that's pretty much our brand. That's everything that I do it for. You guys see me doing things on social media with other businesses and things like that. Everything goes towards the kids, goes towards everybody that needs something. Not only kids, it's adults and families. So anything I can get, you know, I'm looking to help others out, and that's what HBHF is standing for.
Awesome. Well, we're looking forward to the Bills returning, 49ers, another primetime game. Whatever. I could give or take that. But looking forward to it. 9-2 Bills taking on the 5-6. I keep wanting to say Chiefs, San Francisco 49ers. Stevie and I, along with Andy Young, will be back with you for our Bills postgame show in Buffalo and Rochester. And then here we are, Stevie. We're in the push as always. Thank you for joining us on here, and have a good Thanksgiving.
Love, always love. Looking forward to upcoming weeks and Thanksgiving also. Happy Thanksgiving to you guys. One love.
Thanks everyone for joining us.